Hello, this is Christina Roberts-King, and I am here to welcome you to the Real Eyes Realize podcast. This is a podcast that highlights everyday people making ripple effects, actualizing love in their families, communities, and our world at large. This podcast was created to amplify the voices of those who are creating change in our world with this inner knowing, this truth-telling that is deeply inspiring to listeners, so that together we can spread the good work of positive ripple effects throughout the world. Realize is a show where life and service can dance together. So we look forward to inviting you to take a listen, sit back, or take us with you on your walk or drive or however you enjoy your podcasts. But I invite you to listen deeply. We're here with our guests to hear about the sparks that have inspired action and heart-centered service, and truly highlight ways in which we can also be motivated and inspired to create positive ripple effects in our world. And we are prepared to get real. We're excited for you to hear these stories of vulnerability, courage, and empathy, and we want to know more about how we can see beauty through the eyes of these beautiful beholders. So look forward to hearing what your thoughts are. And again, welcome. Welcome to this wonderful next episode with our very special guest.
We are so excited to have this incredible guest with us today, Marta Weinstock. And so before we get into so many questions, I'm going to kick us off with a quick bio of Marta, just so we get to know who it is that we have here on our Realize podcast today. So Marta Weinstock is an MBA, a strategist, and a mindfulness leader. Marta is a seasoned marketing strategist and operations leader with a unique blend of business acumen and spiritual depth. Her 30-year journey through yoga, meditation, and Buddhism has cultivated a profound sense of purpose and compassion, which she infuses into her professional endeavors. A skilled architect in marketing, Marta excels in combining data-driven insights with creative strategies to build strong brands and drive business growth. With a successful track record in B2B technology and a passion for our planet's sustainability, she is committed to creating a positive impact through her work. Marta's leadership style is best characterized by strategic vision, operational excellence, and a focus on building high-performing teams. She's a dedicated advocate for women and is actively involved in initiatives promoting empowering women in technology, sustainability, and social responsibility. Her eclectic mix of yoga, business, and environmental stewardship encapsulates her holistic approach to life and work. Marta is a dynamic leader who believes in the power of human connection and the importance of living a purposeful life. So there is so much packed into that, Marta, and you and I have been friends for at least a decade in the capacity of yoga, women in technology, as well as just women who support other women. And so I want to just kick it off today. Tell us a little bit about the Reader's Digest of Marta Weinstock, your background, how you got to where you are, and then we'll start to dive into some of your current passions.
Oh, well, thank you, Christina. Just to be here with you is such an honor. And I feel like a culmination of our work and projects together in this world. And I just want to start by saying thank you for honoring humans and honoring people and creating this platform for us to share our story and document and memorialize, right, who we are in this world and kind of how we've grown into the humans that we've become, right? Because it's all about the journey. It's all about this path. And, we never quite know what's in front of us, but what I know is that who I am and who I show up to be every single day is a conscious choice. And so when I think about kind of that question around like, who am I and who do I want to be, right? It's this combination of, using my trained, skilled, right? My skills, my MBA, my understanding of business, and really bringing a positive impact for our world, right? And what I know is that everything is sacred. Everything in life is sacred. So it's how do we come together? How do we create this space of coming together to approach the next generation, the next iteration of evolution, of revolution as humans, as sentient beings on this planet? So I don't know if
Absolutely.
I answered the question. Sometimes I'm like, did I answer the question?
No, I love it. Well, I'm
Okay.
curious, tell us a little bit about your path to how you've gotten to where you are. You have this diverse background of yoga and depth and Buddhism and travel and all of that, as well as, like you talked about, the business acumen. So tell us kind of a bit about how you would describe the Marta path of the journey thus far.
Um, well, I would say that it's been a path of curiosity, right? And just getting curious about what is next for me. And I started in Boston 2 decades plus ago, right? And trained and studied for my business degree, and just kept taking the next step to get more curious around how do systems connect, how do people connect, and in the evolution of that, yoga became the platform
Mm,
that I launched everything from. I always kept coming back to the Dharma. I kept coming back. Dharma in my understanding is life purpose, right? It's like, how do I continue to understand how businesses connect and people connect and systems connect in the purpose of life, in uh, this greater evolution of where we're going, right?
yeah.
So I don't know if there's a script, or I'm probably off script at
There's
this
no
point.
script. This is your life. This is the script of Marta Weinstock.
Exactly. So I think that, the Dharma just to understand and to study the Dharma, and to understand and get more curious around my life purpose at every turn, at every challenge, and to use I use my yoga mat and my meditation practice as that steady place within that I can keep coming back to. And even when life feels totally unmanageable and totally in a state of chaos, I return to my yoga mat, and I return to my meditation practice and my Dharma practice, and I sit in silent meditation retreats, and I find what is the deepest part that I can connect to within myself.
Yeah.
And so that's my journey. That's the path. It's not, nothing has been cognitively scripted, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I
I
always
love
feel
it.
like I'm off script. And I think when it comes to kind of where I am today, it's empowering women, and empowering women to really step forward into technology and systems, and connecting with each other, empowering each other, saving our planet together, making choices in our world that will be biodegradable and sustainable. And
Right, right. I know that's a key passion. And we're going to dive into that because I know it's really important. And I know what a part of your heart is really kind of looking at what can we do. And as you know, this whole podcast is about positive ripple effects. And sometimes I think people come back to, well, it's already, it's too big of a problem. Like I can't impact it anymore. And I think that what we want to do is to say that there are actions that we all can take, daily actions that really do make a positive difference. And so I want to tap into that for sure. So you mentioned business background. I know you work in tech. You also have 2 children. So tell us a little bit about your family life, and then we'll dive into a little bit more about your passions and your Dharma.
My teenagers, actually one's not even a teenager anymore, he just turned 20. So I'm a mother of 2 children, and my son's away at college, and my daughter is getting ready for the next step into college. And I love being a mother. I love raising them with the principles of the Dharma, and the principles of really making a difference in this world, and understanding that how they interact with their kids at school and their friends at school, and the choices that they make in their life, how those make a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
And so my son has decided that he is teaching English, or he taught English the last 2 summers, one group at a monastery, monks in a monastery in Nepal.
Uh-huh.
And then this past year, he taught in Cambodia. So he's off globally teaching and being in service and carrying this torch of education, right, forward
Yes.
into this world. And my daughter is discovering what majors she wants to work in. And she's either decided that it's going to be environmentalism and
Yeah.
some path of environmentalism, or nursing.
Yeah.
So, again, just kind of this foundation of service. And I think it's really about understanding the value that they bring forward
Mhm.
is as people, as the next generation, right?
Yes.
And how do they get to make create their stamp in this world, right?
Yes,
How do
yes.
they get to
And
do
I
so?
think there's so much to that is how to know that their voice and their actions make an impact. And then at the same time, you talk about sustainability and that the stamp that we make in the world is not so obsessive that it takes over, you know what I mean? Like the place that we all serve. So I'm curious when you talk about your Dharma, and for anybody as of our listeners that maybe even not familiar with that term, beyond in terms of this thought about purpose, but I know that there's some tenets of whether or not it's the eight limb path or four noble truths that are really important to you. So maybe as a barometer you could start to kind of fill us in on what your North Star or your compass is when you think about how you live your life, and obviously how you've impacted your children as well positively.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Buddha has said it very clearly, right? There are the Four Noble Truths. There is suffering in this world, right? And we all are touched with it. There's not a human being on this planet that isn't touched with some sort of suffering at some point in their life. I mean, oftentimes it's multiple points of suffering. I
Yeah.
feel to get to that place where we become vulnerable,
Yeah.
enough to look at our part in that suffering and how to make choices, right? And so the Buddha talks about the path out of suffering is really the four noble truths, and the eightfold path. And in the eightfold path, there's this idea of right view, but the right view isn't like right or wrong in, it is their morals or values, but it's really what I understand is this wise effort, this wise view. What helps and supports more than just myself, right?
Yes.
It is my choice. It is that space, but being globally conscious. And so when I raise my kids with the Dharma, and when I think about coming to the Dharma, just it's not that I study the Dharma every day, right? I am a modern a modern human who has Facebook and LinkedIn and has an
Responsibilities and busy kids.
taxes, right? And so when I come to this understanding of how the Dharma can really, how we can understand it, right, is that we all get to that moment in our life where we're like, oh my gosh, this is challenging, this is
Yeah.
difficult, right? I'm at a turning point right now in my life where I have made a decision to put all of my energy into really focusing on a different career path than I had been taking, right?
Yeah.
And kind of really refining that and setting an intention. And so there could be that path of suffering where we're in that change, we're looking at the change, and the right the right view, the wise
Yeah.
view, helps us get to that place of helps me understand what what is it that will be supportive for me.
Yeah.
How can I meditate to that place of affirmation and confirmation and sacredness that gets to the place that I need to a greater understanding of my world and
Yeah.
how I can really make an impact, right? It's not about, I get stuck in the cognitive thought of like,
Yeah.
it's the best job, or the egoic sin, or the self-centric, or, you know, the place of like, well, this is the best, salary, and, all
Right.
these
Right.
things we get caught in, right?
Well, whether or
And
not,
yeah, so when I get to those places, I'm like, it's more meditation, more stillness, more practice, right? It's when I practice and then the mind becomes still.
yeah,
Right. And when the mind becomes still and I can appreciate the health that I have and offer some gratitude for the life that I have been walking, right? This path of this journey of life. It's that all those other things come into a different perspective, and then I'm
yeah,
able to see more clearly.
yeah,
And so whatever it is, right? Whether, again, we all have the different elements that cause us suffering, right? But the Buddha talks about the eightfold path as the way forward that
yeah.
we can understand, and we're not always working all of them at the same time, and they don't have to be worked in order, right? That's what
Yeah.
Buddha says. You don't have, it's not like the step work. You don't have to go like step 1 through step 12, you know. You can work all of them at the same time. You can work some of them at the same time, right? And
Yes.
understanding right livelihood and right action and right speech. And, again, it's not right, but it's wise. What is
Yes.
wise speech? What is empowering for each other? What is compassionate and kind for each other?
Yeah.
And that's where I come. That's my journey. That's where I keep coming back to create the next foundation for
Yeah.
my understanding for growth.
That
Mhm.
sounds like a wonderful stabilizing force. And when we think about that, it has kind of abundant qualities to it. Like if we were to think about all of us tapping into what feels like wisdom for ourselves, for our families, and also for our communities and this greater world at large, it seems like that's a wonderful compass for making decisions that really do benefit all beings. And that's a tough place because, as you mentioned, even though in the way that it's written, right view, right intention, right mind, that sometimes right can be taken now, especially since we're in a political season, as there's a right and a wrong or a black and a white. And so, how would you let our listeners discern? Like, how do you bring into what is wisdom, and how do we know that it's for the greater good? Any thoughts on that?
Um, I think we know what's for the greater good when we're in alignment. When I am in alignment with my soul, with the deepest part of my soul that I can access, right? Again, it's all a learning, right? We don't just jump to the depth of like, okay, we're not just gonna jump into the deep end. It's like you take those, you're on the journey, right? And I think that when I'm in alignment with who I want to be in this world and
Yeah.
how do I want to show up and refining my words and my thoughts and my actions so that what I'm receiving back is also what I'm putting out. And so there's in alignment of giving and receiving, that it feels like love, that it feels like kindness, that it feels like compassion, that's when I know that I am fine tuning to that place of, this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
This is where I'm finding alignment. This is what is reflected back to me. If I'm not getting the reflection back to me of what I'm putting out into this world
Yeah.
that I want, I go deeper, right? And I go deeper into my practice, deeper into my meditation, deeper into studying, okay, what is it that I can evolve? How
Right.
can I evolve to this place?
I love that. I love that. Well, I love that you almost have this inner barometer that says, okay, like there's this, you talked about perspective before, but it almost is like a pause that you're able to take to kind
Mhm.
of really listen, deeply listen internally to be able to reflect upon, okay, I'm putting this out there. What's coming back? And not to say that everything you put out needs to have a return, but
Mhm.
you're looking at what is the investment of time and energy, and does it seem to be having that reciprocity nature to it? Is that
Mhm.
kind of a way to think about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like, my father raised me with Confucianism, which I didn't even know it was Confucianism at the time, right? But it's do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Mhm.
And so it's that understanding of our work in this world and the reciprocal nature that we offer each other, right?
Yeah.
So reciprocity, I think, is big. And, I mean, we can talk about the principles of karma, right? But again, sometimes karma, so, sometimes I believe that it could be, in my belief system, it could be multiple lifetimes, from the past to the future that we resolve our karma. So, but yes, it is that karmic reciprocity that is important, I think.
Yeah. When I love what you said, that when we know we're in alignment, that we're operating from wise mind, what we also see are the love and kindness. And it's like almost like the way that we treat one another, the way that we also treat ourselves, and kind of
Yes.
have that self-love and that self-compassion. So I know that you meant, what's that?
1,000,000%.
1,000,000%. So
Yeah.
I love that. So when you think about, you talked about being human, right? Like I'm a human going through this journey. Like, there is suffering in this world, first kind of operating principle of life. And so when you think about going through some of your biggest challenges, and maybe you can give us an example or two, how is it that you're able to listen to that inner voice, get to that place of stillness, and continue to proceed with resilience, with perspective, and coming out as a bright light? Maybe you can walk us through that, because some people are going through some really hard times right now.
Yep. So the first story that I have that's kind of, I mean, this is over a decade ago, is when I was going through a divorce, right? And it was one of the most difficult moments in my life. And I garnered so much strength from building community, from building people around me that I could relate with, that I could communicate with, that supported me, that didn't judge me. And so I think building community, and even today, like my yoga group, I call the Sangha, right, which means community. And so I think when I think about some of the most difficult times in my life, it's not that I have isolated, right? I wanted to isolate, right? We want to, because we just want to go into that hermit shell of like
the
protection,
cocoon of safety,
right? That cocoon of safety. And I would challenge anyone going through any kind of suffering to find a community that is supportive for them, and that is of maybe like circumstance. It doesn't have to be, but just some group, right? A group of women, a group of people that will provide that depth of support, right?
Yes.
So I think that that's one of the first things that I've learned. And also at that same time, I was sitting in meditation at 6 a.m. in the morning, and sitting in meditation at 6 p.m. at night, and really watching my routines and my habits to make sure that they were healthy.
Yeah.
Right. That I kept the discipline of keeping myself on the healthy path, which, we all know that there are so many different ways that we can become unhealthy. Right. But that I kept myself disciplined to find healthy choices, healthy habits, healthy routines that were, again, making like I felt better when I kept to my healthy routines and disciplines. And so that's what kept those going. So
that's cool. Well, what I kind of sounds to me like that's also a sense of this kind of wisdom, and, where love and kindness and care are the off products. When you do choose something that feels wise, your body rewards you by feeling better, feeling more energy, feeling more health and whatnot. And I think, like you alluded to, there are so many temptations, if you want to call it that, into the world to maybe numb out. And so what are your thoughts on that? And how do we, when it does feel tough and all we want to do is close into that cocoon, what is the thing that kind of gets you out of that and says, I'm going to choose this, and it may feel like the harder thing in the long run, but I know that it's going to be what's going to be serving me or my family in a better way?
How do
you resist temptation, basically, bottom line, when you want to just numb out?
I use affirmations. I listen to insight I use the Insight Timer meditation app, and I when I really get to that spot of like, okay, this could be really difficult, I listen to affirmations, and so I again consciously infuse myself with things that are like just affirming of this is who you want to be in the world, this is how you want to show up in the world. And then I don't buy, right? Most of it's a consumption thing, right? So I just don't buy the things that are mostly difficult, or media can be a really difficult thing to unplug from, and media can influence us in a lot of different ways, and I prefer not to be influenced, right? So
Yeah.
I prefer I choose my influences wisely. I choose that the Dharma is what influences me, and so I'm careful at watching what I allow to influence me. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
it makes a ton of sense. And I think, like you said, in the barrage of so many things, there is that consumerism and that attention economy that's going on that are going to constantly give us like, here, more, more, more. And so it does take discipline to be able to say, no, I'm going to set some boundaries, and these boundaries feel like what's best for me. I know that a big part of you too, and this is just my knowing you over the years, is that you have mentioned to me many a times, Christina, faith over fear, like faith over fear.
yes.
And
Oh, yeah.
so maybe you could tap into that also. Like, what does that mean to you? And how do you tap into your own faith when doubts or concerns about the future may pop up? Because again, like you said, we're all human.
Yeah, no, and I've got a great story for that one too. That's even more recent. This past spring, I was away on a 7-day silent meditation retreat, and I happened to be reading. So this is one of my favorites, Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet by Thich Nhat Hanh. So I was with my favorite teacher, Mark Coleman, at Spirit Rock. And of course, we're not supposed to be reading, so don't tell him I was reading Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet. And he was actually quoting from the book. Actually, I was reading it and he was quoting it in ours.
That's when you know you're in alignment, right?
No, that's when you know you're in alignment. And I've had, being an Earth Day baby, I have had this Earth Day like environmental, sustainable, inner core to me that like I feel like Mother Earth is like in my belly, right? Or like that I don't know, like it's hard to describe, but just that I have a commitment to Mother Earth in a very deep way. That's what I'll leave it with. So I was reading this book on this retreat, and I came back to my executive leadership position, and they were doing some restructuring in my role. Yeah. And within a month, I had written a transition plan and exited. And when you talk about faith over fear and also in alignment, I knew that I was out of alignment in that role and with that team, that they didn't actually have the values that they were proclaiming. And anyway, so there's this out of alignment thing that was happening while I'm getting into alignment on my silent meditation retreat. And I came back and I was like, okay, this is it. This is that faith button. Yeah. And I reset intentions and reset my path forward. And I've been working with those intentions ever since, and just uncovering new aspects of my journey that I didn't see before, that now I'm like, oh, this is why this happened, right? And I'm still in that challenged phase, right? There's still, the path before me is still happening. And like all of us, right, we can't quite see it until it's the veil's removed, or the delusion, the illusion that we were working with, I don't know. And so I'm in that moment, and now feeling so much stronger, like I'm building a foundation back of faith, of alignment. And I think the greatest fears come from the clinging, from the like, I can't let go, right? If I let go, something awful will happen, right? And it's when you let go and you come into that space of non-attachment, non-clinging, that faith can just, it gives me the courage, the resiliency, the creativity, right? I mean, sometimes, I can be stifled with my creativity when I'm in that clinging mode, right? I think like all of us. And then we might be forced right to the edge of the cliff, and we're like, no, right?
Right.
No, I, my wings aren't ready yet, right? And so
Totally.
and then all of a sudden we get there and we're like, oh, actually it's so much easier, and the creativity flows, and the new projects and the new ideas and the new connections, and we're slightly out of our comfort zone, we're off script.
Yep.
Right? And then all of a sudden, like, I allow myself to just find that next space of the journey, the resiliency, the faith, and it builds more faith, right? And this process that I've just recently described is something that's gone on for like my whole life, right? It's in periods in time, right? We all have it. And I think we're kind of afraid to talk about it because we don't really want, like, the ego part of it's like, no, like, I have full control, and
And then the universe keeps on kind of showing us things. Oh, really? Really? You think you're in control, huh?
Yeah, you think you're in control. Well, let's try it like this.
But I love the alignment piece, because when you are in alignment and we're not in the clinging, we're not like in that fear space that actually feels scarce and small and we want to huddle in, do you find yourself more open to see the signs, or more open to see the synchronicities and the opportunities and the people you're meant to talk with? Like, that flow starts to feel just much more like the gates start to open up.
Yeah. And also what happens is that we reach out for community, right? We reach out, we ask for help, we ask for support, or at least that's the way I've trained my, through my practices. That's the way I've trained or retrained, unlearned, even the Buddha says that some of the greatest learnings are the unlearnings.
Yes.
Right. So it's like we're unlearning behavior that keeps us isolated and separate, and then relearning on, how to reach out, how to find the connection, and then it brings you into authenticity too. I mean, that's the thing. Like, for me, when I get to that state, I really get to my most authentic self, right? If I'm vulnerable, if I'm ready and I'm able, then I get to the vulnerable space that allows greater connection, greater faith.
In that depth of what we, whether or not it's ego or fear that we don't want to go, we don't want to seem weak, we don't want to, like, show, oh my gosh, this has happened in my life and I'm struggling. But when we do that with a trusted friend, buddy, somebody in our community that we know is not going to tear us down, but there is that psychological safety that says, hey, I've got you. And let's just hold space, or let's just walk and move through this. There's some strength and resiliency and all of the courage that comes through that allows us to take each step at a time, one step, one day at a time. So I love that so much. Well, let's talk a little bit about what your passions are now. I know that sustainability and this whole thought about being born on Earth Day, I think that's incredible. And I think that before we kind of started talking about this podcast, I hadn't even known that. And so it just makes so much sense. But talk about the stuff on sustainability and the thing that's really, really lighting you up these days in terms of sparking your heart.
Yeah. So, I think the reconnection when I was on the nature retreat, and watching the birds and listening to the crickets, and witnessing life, real life change. And when I become still, when I become part of nature, right, it was like fireworks going off for me. It was like this knowing that I needed to study so much more so that I had facts, that I was moving from not just an opinionated state of, well, this, the global warming and the climate change crisis and all this. And I became a student of the IPCC reports and the UN World Oceans Day live stream and the Women and Climate. And I immersed myself into reading long essays and case studies to understand where we are right today in this moment, right? That the ocean temperature has warmed above any other metric that we've ever had by tenfold, that our glaciers are melting from above and below, that we have ocean acidification and harmful algal blooms and dead zones, 450 dead zones in the United States right now, or not in the United States, in the world. And of the 16 tipping points that they've identified, again, decades ago,
right,
as these are critical moments of time that are irreversible for us, right? That we are close to crossing 8 of those 16 tipping points, maybe even 9 within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
That by 2050,
Crazy.
that we will be at an irreversible point of our climate, of global warming, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, as I studied and I was like writing down notes and interviewing other people and listening to these, like I've read almost the entire the climate book by Greta Thunberg, right? Like that's a deep freaking book. Like, no, like
it's not a light read. It's not like a little light beach read, right? But you're like, oh my goodness.
And to understand the science behind this, that this isn't just that Al Gore did his work to awaken us, right? And that we are now at another point of awakening to really understand the critical, that like it's not even critical, like it's beyond critical nature of where our environment sits right now. And it's not just about, well, we're not going to be able to eat fish, or we shouldn't really be eating steak anymore. It is beyond all of those metrics and measurements that are going to keep our planet habitable for humanity. And so I am 100% in an alignment with saving this planet.
Yeah.
And we all like what the UN says is we all we need millions and millions and millions of people to do a little part. That's it. And then do a little bit more, right? Like, it's not that this is up to one person. This isn't up to a group of, global scientists or global policymakers. It is up to every single one of us to make changes in what we do, and to study, to understand it, to become more curious around it, to ask more questions, to talk about it in our social circles, to everything, to question what we purchase, right? Why are my Trader Joe's vegetables in plastic bags? Why aren't they in biodegradable? There are other products out there, and we're not investing in them. And the climate has become, in our political realm, it became quiet for the last, because nobody wanted to say it out loud as the topic of because it was so controversial. Well, it's not controversial, actually. It's we're at that point. We've got 5 years right now where we can make changes with our carbon emissions, with our consumer choices.
Yeah.
That then will set the stage for the next 25 years.
Yes.
To just hold steady. If we
Yeah.
can hold steady in the next 25 years, then we can move towards the innovation, the technology, the solutions to not hit that irreversible point. But if we
Yeah.
don't, if we keep ignoring it, we're
It's
there.
past the point of ignoring, and yet there's still a situation where we're not at millions or billions. They're actually really, and I wonder how much of it is just not knowing. So I know that you've actually prompted, I think it's Sisters in Sustainability. So
Sustainability.
as we kind of wrap up our podcast, how could people get involved? How can they find out more? Maybe even we can think about the resource guide today from you, either being sustainability tips and actions that people can do their small part, or how that aligns with even some information on the Eightfold Path. But what are your thoughts on what our listeners can know more about, and how can we find out more?
Sure. So I've recently started this group called Sustainability Sisters, and it's women, because women are the purchasers for their families, and we purchase a lot, right? And sometimes we purchase too much. So it's like, understanding that it's not just our detergents, and we don't need dyes in our laundry detergents or in our dish soap, or we don't need harmful ingredients in our facial products or our sunscreen, anything that, everything is in our food and our water systems, right? Nothing, we're in a circular world. Everything that we put down our drain comes back through in our air and in our water again. So it's not that, so every choice that we make, right? Thinking about even the plastic bags that I use for my garbage, right? Like how many millions of plastic garbage bags are in our planet right now, right? Every day, every week, we're putting more garbage in our garbage cans that are filled in a plastic bag. They're not biodegradable, and those are causing more harm to our entire world. So choose wisely, everything, biodegradable, sustainable, as much as we possibly can. Eliminate all single-use plastics. Everything single-use plastics needs to go. Like I buy, if I go to a place, a coffee shop, it's either in a glass, right? Or it's in a paper cup, right? Again, there are so many different ways of learning, but Sustainability Sisters is one of the groups that I'm coming. So if you're interested in it, we're just kind of setting this up. It's very informal, and learning how to talk about these things without blame, without shame, without judgment. Just how do we get smarter about this? So that's that. And I'm also, in this transition with my career of building in ESG into my next step. I've worked in ag tech, venture capital before, and then now really looking to take a step back, that my work in this world will also help in a small way to build a more sustainable future for
That's awesome. And we're so fortunate that you are out there with this strong torch making things happen. So we will let our listeners know in our podcast notes how to get in touch with Marta, and really to continue to help and facilitate this for our own selves, our own families, as well as our community and this blessed Mother Earth. And I think partly too, coming up with political season is, our votes count too, is having people that are representing and are really looking at the science and the data, and are looking at how do we make investments in what is going to be looking at sustainability for our future generations. So thank you for that. So how we close? Oh, go ahead.
Wait, I just want to put a plug in there too. I will probably be leading a yoga retreat with you, right? And we're going to start to market that in Bhutan, which is a zero waste country, in 2026. So yoga retreat for helping supporting women in other countries, and also maybe learning from them as well.
That's right. And I think Bhutan is one of those where I'm so excited to be doing this with you. We had gone to Ladakh, India together on this retreat, and we installed solar lights and we electrified an entire village. And so we're also going to be doing service on this trip in Bhutan. And we're really trying to evaluate. What I love is that both of us enjoy working with local individuals that are feet on the ground, that are tapped into the community. And it's not just a drop-in white saviorism, how can we come and save the day, but listening and understanding how we can support. And we're immersed with the communities within doing what is going to best help. And as well, like you said, learn as be students and teachers at the same time. So cool. Thanks for that plug. And one of the things that we like to do is end it with these collective questions. It's questions we ask every podcast guest, and it's just off the hip, lightning fire with the first thing that comes to your mind. So are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. First one, what are you currently reading or watching? And you already showed us your book, but tell us a little bit more about what you find is taking up your brainwaves right now.
Studying about the science and the data and really becoming, current with all of environmental stats.
So if you could engage in dialogue, let's say out to dinner, out to a meal with anyone, past or present, who would it be and why?
I mean, Thich Nhat Hanh, like he passed away a couple of years ago, but I was honored to be able to see him in person in Oakland a few years back. Actually, we have an interesting moment.
I know, I love that.
We'll bring that up now, but that's cute that all came up. But yeah, Thich Nhat Hanh, what he has been in this world and what he has brought forward in this world is, I'm not even sure we would exchange words. We would probably just sit in stillness and just let his vibration surround me.
Yes.
It's like what you said. It's like if words, there's a saying, and maybe I'm not going to get this right, but like, let my words improve upon the silence. Right.
Yes.
And with Thich Nhat Hanh, I think it would just be silent and we would sip our tea.
And yet, like you said, the heart expansion would happen just because of being in pure presence, which I love. So when you think about maybe an affirmation that comes up for you, what do you say to yourself when challenges arise, just to remind yourself how to show up?
I'm a badass.
Yeah, I love it. I think badass. I think you've kind of emulated Wonder Woman as a theme for this year. Is that right?
Yes, Wonder Woman. I know that's a cute little story. I picked wonder as my word for the year, and I went to search for meditations on wonder in my Insight meditation app. I'm not putting a plug in there for that, but that's what I use. Yes. And the first one that came up was one on Wonder Woman, and I was like, yes,
I love it. Get out those gold bangles and let's go see. I love that. Well, last and final question. What are you most grateful for today?
Oh, just sharing the sacred moment with you. Everything is sacred. And so maybe this will go out into the ether. Maybe, again, it will help to spark conversation, have those blink moments of awakening for me, for you, for the greater community, and just that ripple effect that this will bring. So
yes. Well, thank you, Marta. Know how grateful I am for you, your friendship, what you're doing in this world, and for your time today. Thank you, blessed sister. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another impactful conversation here on the Real Eyes, Realize podcast. We hope you take some time to let the wisdom of these stories that are shared here today sink in, and we welcome you to engage with us on our social channels, realeyes.love on Instagram or Facebook. We also have links in our show notes to our guests, and we invite you to visit our website, realeyes.love. Here you will find an online resource hub, and this is where we offer gifts from our guests to all of our listeners. These resources can help all of us create our own positive ripple effects, actualizing love in this world. If you have any other individuals you would like us to interview, please do let us know. We love hearing your ideas for compelling stories to share. Thank you for listening, thank you for being here, and thank you for doing all that you do in the name of love and service in our world. Be true, be bold, be real, and thank you for listening.